Welcome back to Greatness Unlocked. I appreciate you for deciding to spend your time with me today. If you find any value here, I humbly ask that you hit the like and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a topic that often hides in the shadows of our busy lives, a sin that is deceptively insidious, yet profoundly damaging: sloth. Now, sloth is one of the 7 deadly sins we will talk about in Catholic teachings, but defining it is not as straightforward as one might think. It encompasses a multitude of ideas, from laziness to spiritual apathy. It's a complex web of disinterest, neglect, and refusal, a kind of lethargy that can seep into the soul. At its core, sloth is not merely a lack of physical effort. It's a spiritual malaise, derived from the Latin word accidia, meaning without care. Sloth represents a willful neglect of our responsibilities to God and our neighbors. It's a conscious choice to avoid the things that matter most: our duties, our relationships, our very purpose in life. Think about it. Sloth is characterized by a sorrow for spiritual good. Imagine knowing the beauty of God's grace, the joy of a loving community, yet feeling that engaging with these blessings is too much trouble. This is the essence of sloth, a profound indifference that leads to a lack of effort, not just in our actions, but in our very will to seek goodness. Unlike sins of commission, those actions we take that lead us astray, sloth is a sin of omission. It's the decision to not care, to not act, to turn a blind eye to the needs around us. It's a refusal of joy, repelled by goodness itself. The Catechism of the Catholic Church makes this clear. When we choose sloth, we are turning our backs on the happiness that comes from God's love. In today's world, sloth can often disguise itself as busyness. We fill our schedules with trivial tasks, convincing ourselves that we are productive, all the while avoiding the deeper, more meaningful work that requires real effort. This performative busyness acts as a smokescreen, allowing us to escape the uncomfortable task of self-reflection and spiritual discipline. In Dante's 14th century epic poem, The Divine Comedy, those who succumb to sloth are placed on a specific terrace in purgatory, where they must run continuously without rest to atone for their sin. Throughout various examples of medieval Christian art, sloth is often depicted through images of sleeping figures. For instance, in a painting titled Parable of the Wheat and the Tares by Dutch artist Abraham Bloemaert from the 17th century, a group of nude peasants can be seen slumbering beneath a dovecote, while a devil sows weeds in the background. In the modern secular world, sloth is frequently portrayed in a humorous light or used to express a subversive critique of societal norms. Iconic slothful characters include Homer Simpson from the animated series The Simpsons, the aimless young adults in Richard Linklater's film Slacker, and the Dude from the Coen brothers' film The Big Lebowski. In the novel My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Moshfegh, the protagonist, a disillusioned young woman, chooses to spend a year in a drug-induced slumber following her parents' deaths, also referred to as acedia. Sloth connects to the broader themes of the 7 deadly sins and the virtue of diligence. During the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, Pope Francis cautioned Christians against falling into sadness and sloth while in lockdown. In a homily delivered during a live-streamed Mass, he recounted the story of Jesus healing a man at the Pool of Bethesda from the Gospel of John. This man, who had been paralyzed for 38 years, responded to Jesus' inquiry about his desire to be healed with complaints about his situation. The Pope described this man as sick with sloth, likening it to a poisonous substance, a fog, or a drug that can cloud one's spirit. Consider the paradox of distraction we face in modern life. With endless streams of content at our fingertips, social media, binge-watching shows, the constant barrage of information, we have become masters at killing time. Yet, in this numbing cycle, we lose touch with what truly matters. We become apathetic to our own growth, to our relationships, and to the call of our souls. Let's talk about apathy toward personal growth. How many of us have felt that nagging resistance to improve ourselves? That don't care attitude that keeps us from pursuing better versions of ourselves. We procrastinate on important actions, whether it's working on a relationship, seeking help, or developing new skills. Each moment we delay creates a hedge of thorns that makes future progress feel even more daunting. And then there's the emotional toll. The slothful person may drift into a state of nihilistic indifference, believing nothing truly matters. This mindset is a refusal to embrace the greatness God has intended for us. It breeds cynicism, a bitterness that dismisses all effort as pointless. We must recognize that sloth can even masquerade as burnout. In a world that often equates busyness with productivity, we find ourselves on a treadmill of stress and detachment. The frantic pace we maintain can be a desperate attempt to avoid the inner work that truly fulfills us. So, how do we combat this pervasive sin? The antidote to sloth lies in the virtues of diligence and zeal. We must intentionally engage with our lives, find purpose, and cultivate a passionate commitment to our responsibilities. It's about creating rhythms of spiritual discipline, prayer, reflection, and engaging with Scripture. These practices not only draw us closer to God, but also help us reconnect with our true selves. Engagement is key. Rather than withdrawing from the world, we must actively participate in it, within our families, our communities, and our faith. It's through this engagement that we find fulfillment and joy, counteracting the apathy that sloth brings. In closing, I invite you to reflect on your own lives. Are there areas where sloth has crept in, disguised as busyness or indifference? Let us confront our spiritual poverty with humility, recognizing our need for God's grace. Let us stir our spirits to action, embracing our potential to make a meaningful difference in the world. Remember, the path to overcoming sloth begins with a single step, an act of will. Let us choose purpose over apathy, engagement over indifference, and joy over despair. For in doing so, we not only honor God, but also awaken the fullness of life that awaits us.